Welcome everybody back here at Veil of Sound. Yes, surprise! Yesterday we surprised you with a premiere of a record that I really, really like. And I also like it because it's a surprise. I like surprises. And here we are with a second one. I'm very, very happy to once again talk with one of the nameless ghouls in Sleepwalker. And don't make me pronounce the name in Chinese. I can't. I tried it. I listened to it. No way. So, nameless ghoul, thanks for joining our show.
Hello, glad to be here.
he's even talking with a deeper voice than normally.
I'm assuming the role.
Next time we're gonna talk, you probably sit there with candles and everything. I have a question. Do you know what a portmanteau is?
Yes.
So for everybody who doesn't, look it up. Question: would you agree that by now Sleepwalker is a portmanteau band?
Yes. And even from the last time we spoke, we talked about it as well. And I think with every time we speak and converse, it grows. The meaning behind the word and definition grows.
Yep.
Because we're always trying to top it.
And I think you again did it with this. Well, it's a question whether we call it an album or an EP. It's 22 minutes. But it's once again one of those releases where people are going to sit there for a long time with headphones on and trying to figure out what this sound or that sound is. For everybody out there, portmanteau is like a combination of words. We could also call it mashup, however you want to call it. And when you listen to the new record by Sleepwalker, it becomes more and more obvious how many things are combined there by those guys. Some people might say that this is your quietest record.
I think it's going to make some folks uncomfortable.
Yeah, but that is what you always try to do.
I don't know if it's something we aim for, but I think it's something that consciously, unconsciously happens.
Probably unconsciously, I would guess.
Yeah.
And there are also a few reasons to say that. I mean, like, there are a lot of strings on the record, which I really like. I think it's a huge. I'm not going to say progress because progress is too positively connotated. I think that's a huge difference to a lot of the other records. I mean, like, we even have one song which basically ends on a string arrangement, even though it's only 10 seconds, but it is a string arrangement and it's the ending of a song. And sometimes we have sounds which sound a little bit like a hurdy-gurdy. First of all, question, I mean, like, are these sounds something that are played real or that are created via synthesizer?
Yeah, so everything that we do, I think there's no singular approach. So an organ can sound like a guitar, and a guitar can sound like an organ.
Yeah.
Personally, I think that's kind of where our strength lies, that we can kind of transform these sounds. Majority of the instruments are as they are. The things that are happening as far as, the analog synths or some textures in the background, there's still some, rusted machine as the base of the thing. So it's never just synthetic. I think that's the other part. I think there needs to be a certain reality with the lyrics, with the instruments, with kind of the emotionality and the depth of the thing. I think it's also it's interesting that you say that there's more strings. I think it's also how we approach guitar this time around.
Yeah.
Basically one speaker, to give some insight into how it was made. One speaker is a short scale guitar, and the other speaker is a Nash tune guitar. And basically together, it sounds like kind of a pan 12 string, and I think that's probably what you're hearing is this weird portal between worlds.
Yeah.
As far as the instrumentation.
And I just looked it up. It's not a hurdy-gurdy. It's what I heard was an accordion, which is a very, very interesting combination. And what I also think, and that's something that strikes me, whenever I get one of your one sheets for the records, you so nicely pin down all the things that are being used on there. And this time around, you used a bouzouki and a uke. Is that a ukulele?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a uke. It's a uke, but it's not. It's again traditional, non-traditional. It's an 8-string ukulele.
Okay.
So
so a big one.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different things. We never take the easier route.
Yeah, but that's what keeps it interesting. My question is, I mean, like, is that something that, and you, for example, I also have a vibraphone on it, is that something that also keeps Sleepwalker interesting for you guys, to try out new sounds and also sometimes to learn new instruments?
1,000,000%. Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's the part that calls for it. It's what we talked about last time. It's pulling the things. They kind of exist already there. Just a matter of pulling them down out of the wind.
Yeah.
But that's definitely one of the primary bits because the trio, the standard trio, thinking of bands like Helmet and other trios. Yeah, that's the fun bit. That's the rock and roll bit.
Yeah.
Rock and roll is made every day. I think what we're trying to do is something that may not be
done every day and may also not be rock and roll. And it's very interesting. Of course, when listening to the record, one of the first things that a lot of people will say, okay, here your love for classic metal shines through. We've already talked about that last time. I'm like, there are so many little bits and dots in there where I was like, okay, now you're really trying to pin me on the point, saying like, see, this is what 70s metal is about. I like that. I like that a lot. Again, probably no conscious decision, right?
Yeah, I don't think we're setting out to duplicate some genre. I think it's again just the sum of the parts. We just love this stuff. It all comes from love of the stuff. It's less so that, oh well, we have this Norwegian singer now and he's gonna do his thing and we're gonna put the check mark next to the name, next to the style, next to the genre. Because again, the genre trappings, I think, they are a detriment to everything in any sense, not just music. With any art, with literature, with any of those things, I think everything just starts to feel a little formulaic. And maybe this record will feel formulaic to the Sleepwalker sound, whatever that means. But the heavy metal is real on this one. Definitely.
You say it might feel formulaic for people. I mean, of course, it is Sleepwalker through and through, no question. But, I mean, what is very interesting that I have a feeling as if this time the carpet on which you are then adding a lot of those shiny elements, a lot of the things that are very clearly audible, that move to the front of a mix and then move back. I think the carpet on which everything is happening, I think this time it's even thicker than usually. It sounds as if I have listened to the record now a multitude of times, and I've always listened to it with headphones, and I still don't get through any song without noticing something new in that basis that you have created. How long does it take for you guys to do that, to create that thick layer at the foundation?
Yeah, so in total, this record basically was 3 years in the making.
Mm.
And, there's always intersect and crisscross with the other things that we're working on.
Yeah.
So in a way, they kind of inform certain decisions. It takes some time. It definitely takes some time. Definitely takes some weekends. Definitely takes some full weeks of focus. Things change and they re-augment and regenerate and spill out a new kind of serum, if you will.
Yeah.
But that attention to like the millisecond, I think, is there for sure. For sure. The compositions, I think the skeletons we get through relatively quickly. I think it's also about what is the weakest part? What is the weakest part in a song? And what will that part call for that is outside of the realm of the three of us? I think that's a very apt trick, quote unquote, that we use is identify, maybe 50% of the song will be killer. 60% of the song would be killer. What is the thing that's going to get it to 100?
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's out of our hands. A lot of times the third track on this album took the longest. Everything else was basically complete. And for whatever reason, this was just a mountain.
When we talk about the single tracks, something that is probably planned. I cannot imagine that being a coincidence. All 4 tracks are 5 minutes and 40 seconds. Come on, that's not coincidence.
It's not.
Yeah. But I have to tell you that my media player played a trick on you, because my media player says that the last track is 5 minutes and 41 seconds. Bad planning, or is my computer bad?
I think it's your computer.
Thank you.
It's your computer.
I feel.
Yeah, very intentional. Again, I think it's meant to be heard from point A to point Z. So, if folks can oblige the time, and it's not too much time, but for some people it's precious. 22 minutes to sit through a record that's dense, or maybe not, is commitment. But I think the commitment will pay off because all the songs, the way that they're kind of designed, it's almost like Tetris. They're all meant to culminate at the last song. There's bits and pieces of parts in different parts of the songs as well. So there is some mystic force involved in that.
And now we come to that little point where I would like to go also back to our first interview, and also something that you say very often, and I can totally get that. I mean, like a band, especially one that is spread across continents like yours, a lot of things happen somewhere in the air of bits and blobs of zeros and ones and something in between. But you have been speaking about, we pick it from the air. We pick the parts from, the air, and we are nothing more than vessels. I totally get that. And I would also probably, I bet if I see you guys working, I'd probably understand it even more. But wherever there is a vessel, there must also be somebody to steer the wheel. Does that always change in Sleepwalker, or does one specific person always hold the wheel?
I would say I hold the wheel simply from the technical point of view, just to make sure that everything remains tidy. I own the sessions and, all the bits and blobs, as you like to call them, the collage elements and all the different things. I think in the end of the day, they get constructed, it's in one way or another. I mean, for the initial pass, it's everything, and then it's, the bass, the drums, the guitar, and then we kind of play. You know what I mean? That's the part of this band that's the element of surprise, but it's kind of like calculated surprise in a way. I don't know how to call it. It's again listening through and knowing, hey, you know what, this bit calls for the thing, and this bit calls for another thing.
Yeah.
That's
And
kind of the
then
way.
when you listen to the recordings that you've done, and like you said, you're looking for this 40%. Are you then already able to identify, okay, here it would take, let's say, a cello outro? Or is that something where the three of you are then brainstorming together?
Yeah, I think the brainstorming happens at the initial stage. It's kind of like we kind of know, we kind of know that here's more of an instrumental break. Here we need vocals, I think frequency, especially for this album, I think frequency response and how frequencies interact was really, really important. It's again one of the reasons why we did the guitar the way that we did. We have two basses on the record. One is a bass 6, which is kind of like effectively it's kind of a guitar because it's 6 strings, but again it has kind of the full bass range. Everything is very 80s thrash metal as far as our tuning. Everything is an E, which is again, it opens up some of those lower frequencies as well. So a lot of that stuff was very conscious as far as the construction. I think again, getting it to 100, I mean, even if it is at 100, sometimes you need to push it even more. It's like, what is the thing that's going to amp it to 200 or 150 or what have you?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's a numbers game. But a lot of those decisions kind of come at that skeleton stage of, you know what, it's French horn or nothing else. And that was our, our big kind of epic tour de force struggle with the third track, is that we kept going to a bunch of different vocalists, and some told us to go fuck ourselves. Some said, we're out of the game. We don't do it. We're not doing metal. I'm not doing metal anymore. Hey, if you need me to produce your record, I can do it. If you guys need a mix, or you guys need a master, that's kind of what I do now. I can't sing. I haven't sang in, they threw out a number of 4 years or 5 years or what have you. One guy, we won't name him out of respect, but we were in the midst of talking to him and he passed away. So, and it's somebody that I think many people know. They were very much a presence in the metal scene. I would say definitely in the heavy metal scene. And, it was heartbreaking. Beyond, beyond not getting the music made, that's secondary. It's just kind of like a life expunged. It's not there anymore. And, a lot of the inspiration for the song or for the record was really having this particular person in mind.
Yeah. Question before you go on. If you already were that far in, did you have to rewrite passages?
No, it was the lyrics. The lyrics were written. The lyrics were done. It was, it was us sending the lyrics off to these folks and saying, hey, do you want to have a go? Some people, again, it's one of those things where don't meet your heroes, kid, or maybe meet your heroes. It took a lot of guts, honestly, for some of the people that we went to. One person we talked to for maybe 2 months, and they were on tour and their things were happening. And in the end of the day, I guess, the tour wrapped, they got their energy, and it was a very simple, not my thing, sorry, good luck. You know what I mean? So I think ego death definitely is a big part of this record. Is, we are absolutely curious. We're absolutely excited to work with whoever would like to work with us. And the expression "it takes two to tango," then that feeling needs to be mutual and reciprocal. And we would never want to push anybody that wouldn't want to do it or feel uncomfortable. And what's funny is the person that we ended up getting, they've been out of the music game for a real long time. And they were it was amazing, man. I literally had goosebumps talking to them because they felt like they were in the past. They felt like that they closed that chapter in their life and they were done with it and they were just kind of living their life. And again, there was a lot of weird synchronicity with this person and how we talked about them. Somebody else brought them up and we were already talking about that person. It was really, really weird. And in the end, it ended up working out, which is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's the same with us, right? I still remember talking to you, and it was like, okay, there's some kind of mutual understanding. Yeah, but I could see that. I could see that. So basically, the next record is going to be a tango record, right? Oh.
You know what? The next record is going to be nearly 45 minutes, and it's
it's a full length,
and it's one single track. So again,
come on, you've been speaking with Dylan from Belvich.
We're absolute assholes, man. This is just what it is.
But no. Before anybody thinks we are getting too much into a joking scene here. Once again, I think what Sleepwalker has always been good at on every record is seeing what a track needs. And if you think that you have 4 tracks that work together and each of them here, designedly is 5 minutes and 40 seconds, then it's the way it is. And, if a song is 45 minutes, then a song is 45 minutes. If a song is 85 minutes and a few seconds, then it's Belwich and it's still great. I by now trust most of the musicians that I talk to that they know what for them a song needs. And I'm just somebody who listens. And with most people out there that I talk to, and I'm very sure that's the same with you guys, you must be happy with the end result, not me.
Absolutely, without a doubt. Yeah, we don't exist in service of anyone but us. And again, if people come along for the ride, it's all love. It's amazing. We're excited.
I have a few questions.
We welcome all.
I have a few questions before we get to a quickfire round. Sure. One has to be asked about the cover. I like the cover, but come on. You are pushing this anonymous thing, aren't you? Like, we're anonymous, but look, there is a face on the cover.
Yeah. So about that, I'll give one little bit, I guess, and folks can kind of take it as they like. The cover is kind of a culmination of all the arts that's been done thus far. So all the bits that are unseen in the frame, all the bits that were cropped off the original, the original image that was created for the other records, this is what's on the outlying sections. And that's how it was constructed.
Were you aware that when you created that cover and when you looked at, I'm going to use a photo of somebody, were you aware that it looks a little bit like that famous picture of a Saigon police chief shooting that prisoner in broad daylight?
No. So when you asked me that offline, it gave me pause. Because again, there is absolute, synchronicity to all art. And again, you could call things accident and all that. I think there's nothing that doesn't happen for a reason.
Yeah.
It is not that picture.
No, I know it's not that picture, but it looks a little bit, because of this distortion, it looks a little bit like that image.
Yeah, that was eye-opening. That was eye-opening for me when you said that. I was like, I had to go take a look at it. I'm like, wow.
And you've seen it now?
Well, I've seen the original.
Yeah.
I've seen the original for sure. Everyone's seen it.
Yeah.
There is some similarity. I mean, again, it's one of those things. You implant the thought, and the thought is there. If you look for signs, you'll find them. So,
Yeah.
unintentional, but synchronous.
Yeah. And it's something that I like. I like seeing things being similar without being intentionally similar. Last time we talked about Sleepwalker as a spaghetti Western movie soundtrack band. Again, trying to go down that little bit of rabbit hole. If I had to say, okay, this is any kind of soundtrack, then it must be Shaolin movies, like Bruce Lee. Again, not intentionally, but can you understand the comparison?
There's more action, I think, definitely on this album. I mean, again, if people are calling us ambient metal or atmospheric metal, or we have that, the huss and the hum of the past and the oldness, it's still present. But I think at its root, like I said, it's very heavy metal, and by its nature, heavy metal is just over the top epic scene in a battle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not to say that Solaris and Stalker and Fellini and all those kinds of other deep movies and deep scenes are lingering somewhere in the background. I think they're always present. But as a friend pointed out, this album is very much a bridge or a portal between two worlds. And I think that will probably make many uncomfortable, maybe not. Maybe they will feel accepting that they're kind of getting the full dish, and the dish is adventurous, and there's something zesty you put on there that, okay, it's unexpected, but I don't hate it.
And I guess what I hope that this classic Sleepwalker audience by now has figured out is it needs time to digest. It's nothing to be understood, if ever to be understood. It's nothing to be understood within, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4 spins. I like the comparison of a portal, definitely, because again, there are elements which are bordering on even classic heavy metal, fresh heavy metal. But if you, for example, listen to some of the tracks, yes, there is ambient, of course. But, and that is something that I've already said before, if we think about a portmanteau band, of a band who does mashups and who creates mashups that then stand on their own, then I think that is 21st century music. And then I think Sleepwalker is very much a 21st century band.
Yeah. The past obviously plays a role. History plays a role. The olden thing, the apocalyptic machine, again, the same friend, I'll name names. He goes by Helm. He's in a band called Locust Leaves, and we have a side chat with him and the man of the hour from Convulsing. Incredible record from this year. And we talk about that, and I leave a lot of that dissection to them as far as what they hear and how it sounds. Talking about yourself, it's always troublesome, but hearing it from the side, that's really what it is. Is there something out there that sounds like this? Whether it's a construction of pieces, whether people are hunting for the individual bits and say, oh, this sounds like Scorpions, or this sounds like this.
You always have to bring up the Scorpions, don't you?
I have to, especially with you. I know that. That steam coming out of your ears.
No. As long as you don't whistle Wind of Change to me, everything's fine.
No.
But
old Scorpions.
I know
old Scorpions forever. Yeah.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Question. You've been speaking about Portal, what just came to me. Mm-hmm. Isn't Sleepwalker also at the same time not a portal, but a mirror? And everything you see is basically yourself and what you want to see.
Yeah, be the change you want to see, as the expression goes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Be the sound you want to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think it's also a matter of not just self-reference and self-reflection. I think it's also accountability. Mm-hmm. It's being the endless critic. The three of us mm-hmm. being endless critics and saying this and dissecting that and going on a deeper level, because I believe people should go on a deeper level. I think, yes, you can have fun and you can dance and you should dance.
And you should bang your head, yes.
And you should bang your head. So, yeah, it's all there. I mean, the mirror, absolutely. It's always self-reflective. It's what are we doing with this art, if you can call it that, in the world? Is it bringing good? Is it bringing shit? Like, that's should always be the question of the artist, and mm-hmm. I will die on that hill. Mm-hmm. Any sort of thing that you make, even if you're trying to be funny, I think needs to, again, it's art. It needs to have some sort of thought. It needs to have some sort of message.
I mean, like, that's, even when Zappa said, humor belongs in art. Right. We both know that Zappa would have never been one to do music in a kind of Roadrunner cartoon style. He would have done it in a humorous way, but one that you first have to think a lot about to get the joke. That is something that I've noticed over the years. Humor belongs in music, but it must be humor that is food for thought. I have one more question before we come to the quickfire round. Very often we hear about collaborations, and very often we think like, okay, I exactly know who the bigger partner in this collaboration is. I'll give an example. We all should have listened to the records made by Keiji Haino and Sumac. And a lot of my friends would automatically say, okay, it's Aaron Turner. Sumac must be the bigger partner in this collaboration. Whereas when one thinks about it and knows a little bit more about the biography and the body of work of Keiji Haino, everybody should notice, okay, he really is the bigger one, the bigger partner, the one who has been in that particular game for a longer period of time. And he's maybe even more experienced at it. And now you do work with a lot of people. Maybe now on this record, I think the guest list is a little smaller than on the last one, but there are still a lot of guests. And those are like, you work with them. But what I've noticed when I look at, references and people like me, critics, right? We have to give references for people to understand what a certain artist is about. What I've noticed over the last couple of months and years is that Sleepwalker is being dropped more often as a reference point for extreme forms of metal that do not go for the riff kill, but for making people sit down and think about it. How does it feel for you that you are slowly but constantly progressing into a more referential role?
Crazy, man. It's a crazy feeling. Personally, I don't see it. I don't try to focus on that. I think that's secondary. We have some messages. We got half a year ago, I want to say, somebody discovering the previous record, and then they wrote to us, "Oh, I really want to start a band." That's everything, man. That's amazing. You hear art or you hear something and you want to make that. Unbelievable. That's the greatest compliment that we can get. So I don't know how it is. I don't know how it plays in the grand scheme of things. Whether we're used as a reference or we're not. I don't know. I mean, we're just trying to do cool shit, man. That's basically it. That's the baseline.
So ghoul, still hard to
Hello.
call. Yeah, it's still hard to name somebody, to talk to somebody without dropping the name. We always go for the quick fire round, and of course you also have to. And I'll start with something easy. The band of the moment that everybody is talking about is, of course, Blood Incantation, and everybody has an opinion on it. If I were to put you on the spot, do you like their ambient stuff more or the death metal stuff?
I'll give my typical answer.
No. Decide on one of them.
I'm doing it. I like their indie stuff more because they're indie dudes. And if you read through a lot of their interviews that they've done in the past, I believe it was Isaac, but I don't want to misspeak. He just said, "I'm just a dude. Like I'm just a dude. Like, you know, death metal is one of my outlets, and like Tangerine Dream is one of my outlets, and that's just kind of what it is." His indie stuff is amazing. Go hunt it down. Go hunt it down, and I think that will inform how I feel about the death metal and the ambient stuff.
It's also interesting when you get. Fortunately, I got one of those limited editions where you get like another complete record along with the new one. Yeah,
I love. We talked about it with another friend of mine, about the guy that shot it. He's a cinematographer. The guy that shot the form, the 20-minute that they have.
Yeah,
amazing cinematographer. So I'm a big fan of his work as well.
So, and as I knew you would bring up the Scorpions, I also sat down and thought which two records I could give you. I'll give you Love Drive versus Blackout, because Virgin Killer would be the obvious choice, but you have to choose between Love Drive and Blackout.
They're both winners, man.
Which one would you put on right now?
Blackout.
Okay, cool. It's also a way that after our last talk, I listened to everything up to Crazy World. You know, everything, you know, being a history teacher, Crazy World is the last thing that I can listen to before I have to vomit. But I have to give you credit when it comes to riffs and music. That is definitely good stuff. I still don't like Minus voice. I never will, but that's just me. But for music, yeah, that I can totally see where and why you say, okay, that is good stuff. Yeah.
It's imprinted on my childhood, man. Again, we're nostalgia metal, man. We're nostalgia music. You know, that never leaves me. I'll be dead on the ground and somebody will be over my coffin saying, "I can hear you breathing. What do you want to hear right now?" And it'll be Scorpions. So there you go.
Yeah. I mean, like, you're not the only one. I know that Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins also cannot praise them more than he does, because, you know.
But I think he loves Rushmore, probably.
I think somewhere he said that Michael Schenker Group, Scorpions, and there was another, and it was not Rush, it was not complicated metal, it was not prog rock. It was another heavy metal guitar band.
It may have been Judas Priest. I know he loves Judas Priest, so
could be. So yeah. he named those as his major influences. Yeah. Let's go even a step further back in time. I'll give you the Godfathers of heavy metal, Black Sabbath. But question is, who's singing? Ronnie James or Ozzy?
Oh, this is a tough one.
I never said I wanted to make it easy on you.
Tony Martin. I'm always turning your shows upside down.
No, that's fine.
Eternal Idol title track, I think, rivals anything by Dio and Ozzy. I think that is the culmination of angst and frustration from Tony Iommi. I mean, he makes the bands. That's why, at the end of the day, what singer is the singer? Was the favorite singer? I fucking love Dio. I love Dio, and I love Ozzy. I mean, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, Paranoid, self-titled, Master Reality. I mean, how many records? But at the same time, everyone hates on Born Again, but Gillan is the man too.
He has some really good tracks on that one. Yes.
That band. I love that band. Leave me in a desert island with any Sabbath record, except for that last one. I'll throw some shade. I'll be happy.
Then I thought, like, okay, sound-wise, we don't want to talk about metal all the time, so I was thinking about Nine Inch Nails.
Ooh.
The Downward Spiral or the Fragile? And I'm very happy I don't have to answer that question.
Oh, that's easy, man. Pretty Hate Machine. Yeah, the first record actually, just based on how many listens, I listened to that one the most, but between those two, Downward Spiral, without a doubt.
It's very interesting.
It's not even a contest. It's not even a contest for me.
I know what you mean, and it's the same for me. I mean, like, of course, first of all, Downward Spiral has five more years of being able to have been listened to. One thing. But the older I get, the more I appreciate the Fragile. I already liked it when it came out 25 years ago. But the thing is growing on me. And what is especially growing on me is that live record that they put out and all that could have been. That is, and especially, again, if you got the special edition with the piano tracks, that is some really impressive stuff that he put out there. Nevertheless, as I said, I wanted to give you something difficult, and I wanted also to stay in some realms. So to stay in this kind of industrial realm, I'll give you Coil. Love's Secret Domain or Music to Play in the Dark?
Secret Domain. It's a hard one, but again, based on the amount of listens, I return to that one the most.
Yeah, understandably. For me, it would also be Love's Secret Domain because that is the quintessential Coil record. For me, at least. For me,
100%.
So, and as you I also always try to go on to something or to plug onto something that my interview partners are saying, and you've just dropped Rush. And I know everybody will hate me for my choices, which I make on the go right now. But I could choose every record I know. Yeah, that is a problem with that band, isn't it? Let's say Rush versus 2112.
2112. I mean, it would be Power Windows. Just
if
because,
yeah.
I mean, it's funny again. The power of synchronicity. We were just talking to Brandon about this record and with Telemakos. I bought the tapes. I have a 2001 Corolla, and I have Farewell with Kings and Power Windows, and they're both tapes, and I'll listen to them on the way to work.
When I just looked at Power Windows cover again, I have to give you one more. I don't know how my mind jumps from this one to my next question, but being crazy and delusional, that's probably not a really big jump. Billy Joel, The Stranger versus Piano Man.
Stranger. It's the first record I heard of his. My father listened to that. He had the CD. One of the first records I heard stateside was that album. And it's, again, the power of Jersey. There's so many Jersey references there. So I have to.
You have to. Okay. So, Ghoul, thanks for the talk. Thanks for doing this once again on the go. Because for everybody's, when you are listening to this, we did this interview 4 days or 3 days ago. So 4 days. So it's always a pleasure. It's always fun. And yeah, I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.